Hi everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class. Hello, Hannah. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are ya?
Good, thank you. It's been already half a week. For me, we are halfway through the week. How are you feeling with your classes and so on?
I'm feeling good today. I feel like I've just kind of come out of a season of feeling like I wasn't improving a lot and was kind of getting discouraged, when you're working hard but you feel like you're kind of on a plateau and you're not seeing any progress. And I'd been feeling that way for probably about a month and was a little bit discouraged. And just yesterday and today, I felt like I really saw some improvement in class that was really encouraging. And it was just kind of a reminder to me of like continuing to push even when you feel like you're not seeing improvement, because usually it's just right around the corner. And so if you give up, in those periods where you're not seeing it, you're going to miss out on the improvement that you have coming. And so I think for me, the last 2 days of class is just really encouraging of like the hard work when you push through can really pay off. So it's a good week so far.
That's really good. And that's exactly right. Like we've been trying to do these episodes just to tell everybody it's not always easy, if it's online or if it's in person, and not just ballet. Everything that push us a little bit forward or out of our comfort zone is always a little bit hard. And like anytime you're learning anything, any skill, you always see the learning process, then you improve, and then you plateau. It doesn't mean that you are not improving. That means that you're taking the time to make sure that those skills at least stay up to the level to where you got to. And at some point, the next step, that next level is just around the corner, and you just need to keep pushing through. It's going to come. It's going to happen. And now this kind of brings us a little bit to the topic of today's episode, which is how to receive and apply corrections or feedback. Like something that we need to understand is getting to the class with a positive mentality. We can't survive, or we can't improve, we can't live without feedbacks. Somehow in life, we're going to find one point in life when we don't know everything. We just can't know everything. And we always need that feedback to improve, to learn, to move forward, either for ballet or either for our daily life. So what do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like the ability to receive and apply feedback is such a big part of the classroom experience of ballet, whether that's in person or online. It's a really big part of the journey overall. And I think it requires just learning how to kind of leave your ego out of it and leave your ego at the door, because I think it is hard sometimes to receive corrections, and especially in a group class setting, because you're kind of getting them in front of other people, and that can feel really vulnerable and hard. But I think if you can come in with the mindset of just leaving your ego out of it, not taking things as a personal attack, and coming in with that growth mindset of just like you said, like you cannot get better really at anything in life without feedback. So coming in excited for it and with that mentality, you'll get so much more out of your classes.
Yeah, definitely. And there are so many different feedbacks. Like your teacher will just say very encouraging and positive feedback, like, well done, very generalized, very well done, everybody. That exercise is really good. Use that opportunity to understand that although it's not just to you, you are part of this teamwork, and you are getting that general feedback with everyone, and it's just going to take the mood of the class and that feeling a little bit higher, and everyone will get more encouraged. There is verbal feedback, which is the one that we always say, oh, well done, Hannah, that susu was awesome, this and that. Or your teacher might not talk too much, but it goes to you and use you like either open your chest or like fixing your turnout of your leg. That's another way of doing feedback that you might be like a little bit uncomfortable, like, why is she touching me? Or you're not new to physical classes. And that is a very good way for your teacher just to not your teacher might be saying, keep rotating the hip, keep rotating that heel and the knee, and you just don't get it. And your teacher physically rotates your leg. And that's another way to accept that feedback. And that's another thing I think is very important. Your teacher is going to look at you, and depending what your reaction is to your first or second feedback, your teacher is going to keep coming with more feedback. So it's very important how you react to the feedback as well, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's something I've seen before in class. Even just actually a month ago, a new person came to take class, and in my in-person class, my teacher is very, she's hands-on, which I love, and she gives a lot of feedback, which I love, and I think most people enjoy. And you know, if you're open to that, like you said, like she'll continue to give it to you if you acknowledge. You know, thank her for it. She'll keep correcting you. But you know, we've had students come, like this one new person who came in, you know, she would give her feedback and she would kind of just ignore or not really do anything with it. And so she just eventually stopped. You know, I noticed that a couple more times when she came, she wasn't really giving her as much feedback because I think, you know, her mindset, I don't know if she didn't want it or what it was, but I think that the way you respond, you know, it's kind of telling your teacher, I'm open, I want more, I'm hungry for it, or, you know, leave me alone. Like, I'm just here to take class. I don't want correction. So, you know, which I mean, sure, I guess that's okay if that's your mindset. I don't recommend it because, like I said, I don't think you'll learn as fast. But the way you engage or respond to feedback is definitely going to dictate, you know, how much your teacher gives you.
It's true. And so always remember, we have the 2 point of view in this podcast with you guys. So Hannah is the student. Hannah also taught salsa or helped to teach salsa. So she has both experiences. And on my side as well, I have been a student. Now I'm being a teacher. I'm teaching adults. I'm teaching children. It's very, very important how you react. So if your teacher is saying something is like, oh, well done, Hannah, that time you don't need to get out of your way to just look all the way back and just deform your entire body alignment. Just get out of the way to look at the teacher, but do something like, I don't know, fix your arms or just smile, be happy for it. That would be the key of at least giving one acknowledgement that you are receiving and you are acknowledging that feedback.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, if you're kind of in the middle of a combination, obviously talking is hard, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but I struggle to stay focused in a combination and carry a conversation at the same time. I can kind of only do one or the other. But even just like you said, rather than, you know, turning completely around to look at your teacher and kind of throwing off your alignment, just nodding your head so that the teacher, you know, if they're kind of over your shoulder, can see that you're taking it in. And I think if you're not in the middle of a combination and there's not music playing, I think a great way to, because I've noticed that sometimes I think people don't know how to respond to feedback. It's like they get it and they're open for it, but they don't know what to say. And I think a really easy way to just receive feedback is just to say, okay, thank you, or I understand, thank you, because it shows the teacher that you've taken it in, but also that you're appreciative for the investment. And so I always try to make a habit of saying thank you when I get corrections, especially, like I said, if I'm not in the middle of a combination. But yeah, those are both, I think, great ways to just either verbally or non-verbally acknowledge that you're taking it in while you're in class.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Hannah. One way would be if the teacher is the exercise, the combination finish, and the teacher is giving a feedback to you, you are like, oh, thank you. And don't just look at the teacher giving you the feedback. Try to do the exercise. Try to, if he's telling you, oh, your pole de bras is good, but why don't you bring your elbows a little bit higher? Use the moment, exactly that split second. And when you go like this, do it. Don't be like, oh, okay, thank you, and leave. Do it. Show your second position, show your elbows up. And that even will produce a little bit more feedback. Then your teacher will come and put your elbows higher. Maybe someone else starts standing by your side and your teacher will take the opportunity to fix or correct another 4 or 5 that have been doing the exercise. So that's why it's so important to say, like, to receive the feedback and tell the teacher like, oh, yeah, thank you, or just like nodding with your head. That is really, really important because you might just improve yourself, but you might help someone else that start to produce that like represent the exercise. And that brings me back to take notes of your improvements. So something really interesting that we done in our online lesson. I love Maggie doing that. Like, Hannah, you have your own blog, so you are like writing all your notes in a notepad. Maggie's doing exactly the same. Maggie is also writing down all her notes, and then you might be writing like a doctor's letter, kind of like grammar, like, I don't understand what I'm writing, and then you go back out of the ballet class and you be like, my elbow up, and you think and you think and you think, and you're like, oh yes, that's right, elbow up, because in second position they were falling. Things like that will definitely like go back in another way, not just going through the videos or going through your memorizing what happened, but you have a physical note saying, oh, today the teacher said, good job, Tandu. And that's another way you measure your improvement. That's because as an adult, it's really hard. I was yesterday thinking about that. It's really hard to measure your A to B. You don't really get a certificate when you finish the terms or you finish the year like little kids. How do you measure that? By writing down, oh, today I did good turnout. Well, last week I remember my teacher was like struggling with my turnout. Keep rotating, show me. And today I have good turnout. That is one improvement done.
Yeah, I think keeping notes and writing down your corrections is such a valuable way to kind of internalize them even more, because it's like one more step that you're taking to kind of implant it in your head. And then, like you said, it's also great to be able to refer back to. It's like, I'm a huge believer in just writing things down in life in general, but I really think for corrections, it's such a good way of helping you remember and continue to process them even outside of class. I also think too, it's really important to feel free to ask for clarification in class. I think another thing too that I see sometimes, and I even saw this when, like, as you mentioned, when I used to teach salsa, is that sometimes in the classroom setting, I think people are too nervous to ask for clarification, and maybe the teacher gives you a piece of feedback that you don't really understand what they mean. And so you just kind of are like smiling and nodding and not actually understanding what they're saying. And I think, especially with teachers of adults, most teachers that are teaching adults are really doing it because they love it and they want to see you grow. And so don't be nervous to ask for clarification. Like, I've had this happen where I've had teachers give me corrections. I'm like, I don't understand what that means. And so just saying, like, I'm not really understanding, like, is there another way you can explain it? And if you're too nervous to ask during class, because I know sometimes when the class is stopped, and you feel like, oh, I don't want to take everyone else's time, ask after class. Like, I know every teacher that I have right now is happy to have those conversations after class. And so don't be afraid to utilize your teacher in that way too, because most of the time they're happy to do it. So I think that that's really important to kind of tap into that resource as well, that you don't just have to limit yourself to just when class is happening. You can also ask for clarification afterwards.
Yeah, that's really great point, Hannah. Like, me, as you're talking about it, I'm feeling like, yeah, I'm raising my hand. I'm like, please ask me anything you want. Like, any questions. Like, I'm very welcoming to all the questions. I will keep saying it every episode. I know a lot about ballet, and I will say, like, I know almost everything about ballet. But when you ask a question, I will have another point of view to explain you, or I will create another opinion, and I will always try to grow from your question. And there is no silly questions in ballet ever. Like, what would you think is very silly? To me, it will be, but it makes sense that you detonate and you change legs. But it makes sense to me. I have been doing this since I was 7, a lot of years, but it's not the typical movement. Therefore, ask any questions all the time. And I will say something else before, like something else that I don't want to forget is, if your name hasn't been mentioned in a feedback, but your teacher is saying, look away from the bar, look outside, elbow up, open chest, belly in. It doesn't mean that it's for someone else. It is for everybody in the classroom. So if I'm saying, oh, Maggie, good position, upper body, and good with that belly in, I'm expecting Hannah and Gisela and Stacy and the rest of my students to do exactly the same. Open chest, belly in, because I already said someone did it right. So I'm expecting you all to take that feedback back. But at the same time, you're not just taking the feedback, you are demonstrating they're present within the class.
Yeah, I think you can just grow again if receiving feedback enables you to grow. I think that's another way that you can just grow even that much faster, is by taking other people's feedback and receiving it as your own, and not necessarily just waiting until you get, like you said, a personalized correction, but any corrections that you're hearing in class, kind of running through the checklist of like, oh, is that something that I need to do too? Because that's just another little nugget that you're getting of a way that you can apply it to yourself and grow. And yeah, it's such a great way to just accelerate your growth process.
Yeah. So I think the most important part of how to receive feedback in the class, like this episode, I think, like, to sum up, it will be mindful that we are all learning. Leave your ego at the door. Be open to be touched, corrected, pushed, moved, because I'm pushing and I'm moving and I'm correcting everybody. That's in-person classes. When it's online lessons, you need to have all your senses open. Breathe. Be open to anything in a ballet class. Anything can happen, yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's just stay positive. At the end of the day, you need always to go back to, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And be mindful and be open.
It's so true. I think if you just come in with that positive mindset and not getting down on yourself, not taking things personally, I think ballet is so much about having a growth mindset. And I think that serves you in every other area of life. So it's a great place to practice, I think, that mentality. So we hope that this was a helpful episode for you guys as you're receiving corrections in your own classes, and that some of these things can help you apply what you're learning. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.